Randolph Scott suffered an untimely and tragic death due to an unanticipated cause, one day after revealing his secret to the public. A man who would go on to become a true American hero was born on January 23rd of 1898 in Orange County, Virginia. In some circles, he's also referred to as the Rough Rider. In this video, we will share the whole story of Randolph Scott and how he died after revealing a secret. His upbringing on a farm in the rolling hills and countryside contributed to the formation of the rugged and down-to-earth persona that was so characteristic of him. He showed early signs of interest in a variety of activities, including sports, music, and theater, all of which would later play a role in his accomplishments in the entertainment industry, particularly in Hollywood. Scott attended the Virginia Military Institute because he had a strong interest in theater and drama. During his time at the Military Institute, he first began performing in plays and musicals. Scott also honed his leadership skills and prepared himself for the challenges that were still to come. Because of this early experience, he developed an interest in performing, and he ultimately decided to work in the entertainment industry. After achieving great success during his military service, he transitioned to the film industry and made his debut in the silent film industry in the 1920s. Finally, in 1928, Scott signed a contract with Paramount Pictures and made a move to Hollywood. There, he appeared in a number of silent films and began his rise to fame as one of the most famous and iconic stars of the silver screen. While the U.S. was engaged in World War I, Scott made his way to the thriving metropolis of New York City. There, he held various jobs and honed his abilities as a performer. The years between the late 1920s and the late 1950s are referred to as the Golden Age of Hollywood, which was the time period in which Hollywood established itself as the epicenter of the American film industry. In a short amount of time, he made a name for himself as a leading man, and by the time the 1930s rolled around, he had become one of the most well-known actors in all of Hollywood. During this time period, many of the most well-known actors, directors, and writers of the era made their names in the entertainment industry by contributing to films, plays, and other written works. Randolph Scott was a well-known and highly successful actor in a wide variety of movies during the Golden Age of Hollywood. Films such as The Virginian, Ride the High Country, 7 Men from Now, and The Tall are among the director's most well-known and critically acclaimed work from this time period. The decade of the 1930s was the beginning of Randolph Scott's rise to stardom, which continued well into the 1940s. During this decade, he established himself as one of the most well-liked and successful actors in Hollywood by starring in a series of westerns and action films. The fact that he was tall and ruggedly handsome, in addition to having the ability to convey an air of confidence while remaining silent, contributed to his success. The audiences were captivated by Scott's commanding presence, and his chiseled features cemented his place in the industry. When Randolph Scott returned to Hollywood after serving in the United States Army during World War II, his popularity was already on the decline due to shifting trends and critical reception. Unfazed, Scott persisted in his career as a filmmaker and maintained his status as a significant player in the entertainment industry. It is widely acknowledged that Scott is one of the most talented actors of his generation. Because of his unflinching patriotism and undying love for his country, he sacrificed his successful acting career to serve his country during the war. Throughout his career, Scott was always true to his roots and his commitment to his country. In addition, his contributions to the world of entertainment and popular culture have continued to inspire and captivate audiences to this day throughout his career. In the 1950s and 1960s, he had starring roles in a number of successful television shows, such as The Virginian and The Wild Wild West. These roles allowed him to demonstrate the breadth of his acting range and the enduring appeal that he had maintained with audiences of all ages. These partnerships were instrumental in advancing Scott's career and securing his position as one of the all-time greats of the Hollywood film industry. Scott shared the screen with such Hollywood greats as Cary Grant, Gary Cooper, and John Wayne, and he collaborated with renowned filmmakers like Howard Hawks, Raoul Walsh, and John Ford. During the 1960s, the film industry started going through a period of transition which coincided with the decline in his popularity. As a consequence of the proliferation of new actors and the shifting preferences of moviegoers, the number of roles that were open to Scott shrank. As a consequence, in an increasingly reduced number of films. In spite of this slump in his career, Randolph Scott remained active as an actor throughout the 1960s and 1970s, appearing both in movies and on television. Despite the decline in the success of his film career, Scott continued to be active in the entertainment industry and remained a well-known and respected figure despite this. In addition to making guest appearances on a number of well-known television shows, such as Wagon Train and The Virginian, he also worked as a voice actor for a variety of different productions. Despite this, Scott's popularity continued to decline as he shifted his attention to other projects and television. After a distinguished acting career that had spanned more than 3 decades, Randolph Scott announced in 1965 that he would no longer be acting. His legacy continues to inspire and influence filmmakers and actors to this day, and he's still considered an important and influential figure in the history of Hollywood. In his later years, he received a number of awards and accolades, as well as recognition for the talent and influence that he had displayed throughout his life. His first marriage, which was to Margaret Herbert, took place in 1928 and ended in divorce in 1930. Randolph Scott had a total of 3 different marriages throughout the course of his life. After 2 failed marriages, Scott tied the knot with Patricia Stillman in 1936, and the couple remained married until Scott's passing in 1987. One day, after revealing that he had met Cary Grant in secret, Randolph Scott was taken from us in a manner that was both tragic and unexpected. In the final years of his life, Scott suffered from a number of serious illnesses, including a weak heart, problems with his breathing, and multiple hospitalizations due to pneumonia. His death occurred on March 2nd of 1987, when he was 89 years old, but his legacy has continued until now. Because of his charismatic on-screen presence and his rugged good looks, Scott was one of the first actors to play the character of Billy the Kid. Whether you have been a fan of Randolph Scott your whole life, or you're just becoming familiar with his work for the first time, he will surely leave an indelible mark on you. The film industry and popular culture will continue to feel the repercussions of his influence for many generations to come. In simple words, Randolph Scott was a successful Western and action star in Hollywood's golden age, known for his commanding presence and chiseled features. He worked with Howard Hawks, Raoul Walsh, and John Ford, and starred alongside Cary Grant, Gary Cooper, and John Wayne. During World War II, he gave up his successful acting career to serve his country, but his contributions to entertainment and popular culture continued to inspire and captivate audiences. That's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to share and press the bell icon for more regular updates.